we invested every cent.
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing.
come on, we had like zero on the bank and the studio was full. I mean, these are some very expensive toys for sure, but this is everything that we like, you know. There's nothing else that we like. We don't like watches. We don't like luxurious clothes.
I mean,
We like music instruments.
It's our biggest hobby and our biggest passion, right? Like in the beginning, we just had a laptop and like Ableton and some plugins. That's it, right? And you don't need more. Like basically, even in our days,
we
like
invested every cent.
yeah, that's
like,
the thing.
Come on, we had like zero on the bank and the studio was full, like many times.
But
like,
you don't
many
need
times.
that to make music. Like even our days, sometimes we just do music in the box, just with our favorite plugins, and have fun, like on a flight or whatever, on tour, because you can't take this obviously with you. But every time we buy a new instrument or something, like we got some inspiration with it.
Yeah, everything is connected, everything is running, and we love the shit.
Our workflow was always connected to jamming, because we mostly never have been like one single person on a mouse or something. So if you're like 3 or 4 people in a studio, it's not possible, right, with a computer. You need some, at least controllers or something, so more people can do something at the same time. And this is why we started to basically have like a jam,
Like more like a
processing.
band.
Yeah, so we are playing and jamming for us. This is also why we play live so much, because this is where we come from playing live. And then we just play around, and then at some point we are like, wow, that's a fucking nice synth and cool drum make, let's record it. But a lot of times it's also shit, you know what I mean? Because we do it because it's fun. So yeah, it's just nice to jam around with friends.
Try and error, actually. Yeah. And if you're in a lucky situation, you have to understand the moment and then try to capture this. This is what it is all about in the end. To sequence everything, basically, the main part is that it has to be in sync with Ableton, right? So we use like an Agno 4. It's an advanced clock management engine. It's kind of like we have 4 different outputs. They're like MIDI, but also DIN sync and also trigger outs. The main thing about this is that you have the possibility to shift in like super tiny amounts. This is actually the most, and it's literally the most detailed clock engine that exists in the world. And you can really get everything perfectly in sync. So like the 909 has no latency to the Tox box. You can see, for example, like there's like small settings here, for example, like this one is shift pretty, like almost nothing, but if not, the 303 is always gonna be not in time with the rest. And we can add swing in insane amounts in both directions to everything, also to machines that are not used to it or most likely don't have these abilities. And the shifting function allows us to constantly shift all running elements as we want, in beat or off grid. And that's actually really sick, because it allows you to do stuff that you really cannot do if you're like in a normal MIDI concept.
We can sequence our synthesizer, for example, with like sequencers, like the Maschine, for example. We use it mainly as a sequencer, not as a sampler. It's also a sampler, but it has great chord functions, and it's easier to get new ideas if you have like a lot of chord functions and can change the keys and octaves, whatever, super easily. But we can also play whatever we want, like just by hand, and sequence it like this. And it goes into our MIDI card, and the MIDI card is receiving also from the synthesizers everything, and also from here, so we can trigger everything with those 2 possibilities. Yeah. The MPC 2000 XL we use for like direct recording in the line inputs, and the line gains are actually quite decent in there. They are dirty, and we like it dirty. And we can sample most of the synths pretty easily in there, because we have the small TX6, and we can go via the Q out. And yeah, it's super easy.
So basically we use it to resample, and we can also like resample inside again.
So it is a 16-bit sampler, but you can go to 12-bit, you can go to 8-bit, and you can change the sample rate from like 40,100 to whatever you want. So if you go to like 12,000, for example, you have anti-aliasing effect, and this makes it crunchy and dirty.
It's adding very nice overtones. Yeah.
And it's super easy. It's made in seconds, and it's cool. It's a nice tool.
I think the Reaccent right now, I think, is the Udo, the Super 6, I think. And maybe the Wave, I think, we like it a lot.
Yeah, I think back then it was definitely the Korg M1. Basically it's digital, so by now we have from Korg, the originator, like plugins, the M1, the original, it's one-on-one the same sound. And we have it on every laptop, like it's still one of our basic synths. We did so many synthesizers.
The DX7, we love the DX7 from Yamaha, but like we had all these as keyboards, but some of these plugins are like really great, and you have to understand that it's a different feeling sitting on the keyboard there, but you can choose your keyboard here, you know, like, and all these keyboards are very different. Some of them have aftertouch, some of them don't have them, some of the synths, you know, don't even have velocity. So yeah, you gotta see what matches. We are using a lot of plugins. Like I think basically almost every producer is definitely somehow in there. Like I mean, we don't use them for every session. Also, we've been talking about all these preamps and everything, but never forget that they all have like quite some character. So for everybody it's different and every day is different. But to name some brands, we have like Soundtoys, Plugin Alliance, all the Wave stuff for sure. Of course, the Fab filters, they're great. There's so many good stuff from Ableton coming, and we love Max for Live, especially all the funny things to play around with. You know, because you look at this and it looks like a lot, but for us, this is our daily playground. So we are really used to this, like to everything actually, and to us sometimes, like just a crazy new plugin, whatever it is, like a friend can just tell us, like, hey, have you tried this one little thing from Max for Live, and just send it, and you're just like, wow, this is crazy, you know, mind blowing. And there's also nice stuff. There was even nice sequencers coming, like funny things. Like there was one thing, it looked like balls were dropping, and yeah, we like actually everything, and we don't like to limit ourselves. And we believe it's in the combination of analog and digital processing for sure.
Everything should work and everything should be recordable as fast as possible, and you should be able to sequence everything as fast as possible. And I think this is the main ideas here of the studio. So also everything is kind of modular, so we don't have like a big mixing desk that you saw in the 90s that everybody had. But we have the same preamps though. We have like API preamps, we have SSL preamps, we have Neve preamps, and we can mix them, and we don't need like 24 channels at the same time. But 8, we can use 8 at the same time, and that's enough to record enough elements at the same time. And then we go on in the workflow with like recording the next stuff on it, the next. So you can always jam with a few elements. And because you can't focus on like 20 elements, right? You should record at some point. So at some point we record and then we focus on other elements, and we don't need more than 8 channels for that. We have Apollo 8P, like it's quite old one, but it's the UAD2s, nothing changed there, I would say. So yeah. It has the same plugins also inside. It has a DSP processor, which is also good. So you can, for example, put in the input, like also a SSL or API, whatever preamp. What is there, right? You have EQs, you have preamps, and you have compressors. That's the main thing. If you look at a mixing desk, you go up from the preamp to the EQ to the compressor, and you can also change like where's what, for example. But that's it. And you should really focus on those key elements, I think, for recording.